Okay, let's dive right in. AI is officially moving out of the lab. It's not just some side project anymore. It's in the boardroom, it's hosting meetings, it's guiding major conversations, and it's starting to influence huge business decisions. And that brings up the one question that every single leader should be asking themselves right now.
Seriously, think about it. Would you hand over the keys to a multi-million-dollar negotiation to an AI? For most of us, that's a terrifying thought, right? The answer is probably a hard no way, because the risk of getting a decision you can't explain or defend is just way too high. But what if we could change that? What if we could actually build an AI that thinks like a master negotiator?
Because right now we're at a fork in the road. On one path, you've got AI that just creates, well, noise. It doesn't have a clear goal, it's running on shaky data, and its behavior is unpredictable. But on the other path, that's where AI creates real, measurable value. It knows its objective, it uses data you can trust, and every bit of its logic is defendable. And let me tell you, the difference between these two is night and day.
So how do we build that valuable AI? Well, funny enough, we're not going to start by looking at code or algorithms. We're going to study a masterclass from a human expert. We're going to break down their process piece by piece to create a blueprint for an AI you could actually genuinely trust.
All right, so let's set the scene. Imagine this. Your company is facing a massive multi-million-dollar negotiation to choose its cloud provider, and it's down to the two giants, Amazon Web Services and Google Cloud. You get this wrong, and you're looking at insane hidden costs, major security risks, and getting locked into a bad deal for years. The stakes really couldn't be any higher.
And this is where our hero enters the story, a head of procurement who's seen it all. We're talking 3 decades of experience. Their process for making these kinds of complex, high-stakes decisions is legendary. It's the gold standard that can be defended all the way up to the board of directors. This is our human blueprint.
So what's the secret sauce? How does this expert build their case? Well, it all starts right here with a rock-solid foundation. They know a simple truth. Negotiation without data isn't negotiation at all. It's just guesswork. So before anyone even thinks about talking to a vendor, the real work begins. And what's so incredible here is just how deep the preparation goes. Our expert isn't just asking, hey, what's the price? No, they are digging into 5 completely different dimensions. What do we actually need? What should this cost based on the market? What are our absolute deal breakers on security? What legal protections do we have to have? And finally, what do we know about these vendors? See, every single answer becomes a piece of leverage down the line. And boom, right there, that perfectly highlights our very first pillar for a trustworthy AI, purpose and outcome clarity. By nailing down the business and technical needs first, the expert sets a crystal clear target. That is exactly what an AI needs to be effective. Otherwise, what is it even doing? It's just spinning its wheels, creating noise instead of value. This brings us to a point that's just, well, it's non-negotiable. Our second pillar, accuracy and data integrity. Because look, gathering data is one thing, but having the right data is everything. Can you imagine basing a multi-million-dollar decision on a spreadsheet with one wrong number? Oof, that could sink the entire deal. This absolute commitment to accuracy is the bedrock of any decision you have to defend, whether it's made by a human or an AI. Okay, so the data foundation is set and it's solid. The expert then moves into the next phase, building trust. And you don't do that with charisma. You do it with a process that is airtight, transparent, and fair to everyone involved. And just look at how clean this process is. First, all that data gets validated by every single key stakeholder. We're talking IT, finance, risk, everyone signs off. This creates a clear audit trail. Then, the exact same request goes out to both AWS and Google. Same data, same assumptions. This isn't about playing favorites, it's about setting up a truly objective apples-to-apples comparison. And that right there, that transparent process. That's how you build our third pillar, trust and compliance. Think about it. If your own team doesn't trust the process, they're never going to trust the outcome. It is exactly the same for an AI. For people to adopt it, it has to operate ethically, without bias, and within the rules. In the business world, trust isn't just a nice to have. It's the currency that actually makes things happen. Which leads us straight to this critical idea, our next pillar, governance and explainability. Because the entire process is documented and auditable, the final decision can be explained step by step. If an AI makes a recommendation, you have to be able to trace its logic back. If you can't show your work, you can't defend the answer. Period.
All right, now we get to the main event, the negotiation itself. This is where all that hard work with data and process turns into action. But the goal here is really interesting. It's not to replace the human's judgment. It's just supercharge it with powerful insights.
This is where our expert really shines as a strategist. They're not just haggling over one thing, the price. No, they're pulling three totally different levers to build a much better deal. You've got the commercial levers, of course, discounts, price protection. But then there are the risk and compliance levers, asking things like, do we have the right to audit you? And who actually owns our data? So important. And finally, performance levers, like uptime guarantees. This is about negotiating the total value of the partnership, not just the number on the invoice.
This strategy shows us exactly what we should be demanding from AI, and it brings us to our fifth pillar, value creation, not just automation. A bad AI, it just parrots information back at you. Pretty useless. A good AI synthesizes and prioritizes things, which is better. But a great AI does what our expert is doing. It uses all that synthesized information to help you make a smarter, better, more valuable decision. That is a real game changer.
And this is the key to our sixth and final pillar, which might just be the most important one, human alignment. At the end of the day, who's still in the driver's seat? The expert, the human. The data and the process are incredible tools that augment their judgment. An AI host has to function the exact same way. It should be the world's best co-pilot, not the pilot. The ultimate accountability has to stay with a person. So, we've gathered the data, we've run the process, we've negotiated for real value. Now it's time for the final verdict. It's time to make a decision that is completely backed by data and is 100% defendable. And this is the final tool, a weighted evaluation model. Now notice, cost is the biggest piece of the pie, sure, but it's not everything. Security, performance, and flexibility are weighted heavily too. And here's the truly brilliant part. All the stakeholders agreed on these weights before they saw the final proposals. That's how you remove personal bias and politics from the room. You turn a complex, emotional decision into clear, simple math. It's the ultimate defense against making the wrong call.
And the results of this process, they speak for themselves. The company didn't just get a good price. They got predictable costs for the long term. They dramatically reduced their risk. They secured the flexibility to get out of the deal if they need to. And they established a proper way to govern the vendor relationship going forward. Now that is what a successful, defendable decision looks like. So, as we wrap up, this brings us all the way back to our first big question. But now it's for you. Your AI is already making decisions, or it will be very, very soon, following this human blueprint, starting with a clear purpose, demanding absolute data accuracy, building a process that creates trust, and making sure every step is explainable. That's the only way to build an AI that makes decisions you can actually stand behind and defend. So the real question isn't if you'll use AI, it's are you building an AI that's ready for the challenge?